Hi, everybody. I've been told by a lot of people that I should do this, but I was hesitant at first, and now I guess I'm going to go ahead and do it anyway. I've been living in my car for about 5 months now, maybe 5.5, I guess. I started living in my car on the 1st of March, 2023, and now it's the middle of August. It started when I was living in a 2-bedroom, 2-bath condo by myself. Couldn't find a roommate to share the condo to bring the rent down. They wanted to raise my rent by $200 a month. All my utilities and other bill collectors wanted to raise my bills a little bit, which means when you add them up, a lot. I was planning this for probably about the last 2 months I was in the condo. I bought a gym membership so I could shower every day. I bought a whole year and a half for about $350. It's a nice gym. They've got an indoor heated pool. They've got a beautiful large hot tub. They've got a steam room, sauna. They have all the equipment you can imagine. And they have showers, which is what I needed. And it's air conditioned and it's cool. So this is Las Vegas where I live. It's hot here, and July was just the hottest month ever recorded here, which I lived in my car during that whole time. So I can attest to it, how hot it was. It's not been easy, but it's something I had to do. My work cutting my hours has been a big factor in that. It's kind of bad when everybody's reaching into your pocket, including your employer. Last year, I had tons of overtime. I was working as many as 78 hours in a week, making money I couldn't spend. It was so much money. This year, nothing like that. So here I am on this journey. It goes back a little further than that. My wife, who I was married to for over 26 years, she had a stroke in February of 2020. She passed away on Halloween Day on October 31st of 2020. She was in the hospital for 45 days, then was transferred to a nursing home in Phoenix for the rest of her life, the next several months. The last 2.5 months of her life, she was in a coma. She went into that coma because they had previously put her on a depression drug, and they upped the dosage at some point when she was not able to have visitation from me. It was the year of COVID. It was a time when you couldn't just visit anybody at a nursing home. And the only visits I was getting from her were through the window outside, standing in the 115-degree heat with a cooler of ice and water next to me. I'd stand for 5 or 6 hours and just with a legal pad, write stuff down, hold the pad up to the window, and have her respond on a little notepad she had. She had a tracheostomy, so she had the hole in her throat and the tube, and she couldn't talk. So we had to write back and forth. It was the only way we could communicate. And finally they had her in a room where she didn't have a window, and we couldn't do this visit at that point anymore. And she got upset apparently, and that's when they upped her dosage on this depression drug Lexapro. Well, it turns out Lexapro has got 12 or 14 listed rare side effects that she had almost every one of them. They included coma, which she had gone into a coma eventually. It took about a month for that to happen. She was very sick every day. She was so sick she couldn't finally do one visit we tried to arrange at a door that had a window. They said she just couldn't come to it, couldn't come to the door, couldn't do the visit. I had to drive 3 hours home without seeing her that day when that happened. And I could see her from a distance for a second when that was going on. We were preparing for a visit that never happened, but I could see her looking over at me, and then she looked down. She looked like she was ashamed of herself, like she had just been scolded by her mother or something because she couldn't do the visit. And I felt devastated because she should never have had to have felt like that. She should never have had to have lost this visit after being sick from this stupid drug that they were giving her. But eventually the drug made her kidneys shut down. Her kidneys shutting down backed up all the fluids in her system. The backing up of her fluids caused them to become toxic. The toxicity went to her brain, shut it down, turned her, basically put her into a coma. And they wanted to put her on dialysis. They tested her for all kinds of different things. They tested her for everything except pregnancy, but found nothing. Nobody could figure out why she had gone into this coma and what was wrong. But the problem is they didn't look at the simplest thing. It was about a month after she had been in the coma, after they had released her back to the nursing home, just giving up and not being able to figure out what was wrong, that I found out about Lexapro. I didn't know about it until then. And I asked the nurse, I said, why is my wife on a depression drug when she's in a coma? Why haven't they taken her off that? And she couldn't explain it, but she says, you can have them take her off. I said, yeah, we will. Tomorrow morning, first thing, we'll do this. And they did. Of course, now the damage was done. It was too late. And I got on the internet 5 minutes after talking to the nurse that evening, and literally in the next few minutes found that Lexapro had these 12 to 14 rare side effects, again, that my wife had almost every one of. And they seem to not even want to go and try and figure this out or look into it. I tried to talk to the doctors. I called and asked if I could talk to them about this, that had dealt with her. They said they didn't want to deal with it because they no longer were caring for her. She was under someone else's care now. You know, these people look at you as just a number. You're just a way for them to make money. It's not like you're something they care about. They really don't. You're just the next patient in line. And I have no good feelings of any kind for any of these medical people. They make me sick to my stomach. But, yeah, I can't stand any of them. I haven't found anybody that's, at least in the medical community, that would help me or do anything. I had an attorney that looked at this. He said that these people would just argue that each other did it. It was everyone else's fault, and we wouldn't be able to kind of prove what we wanted to prove. He says, I'm probably right, but there's nothing we could do to prove it. So here I sit. I ended up with a ton of bills. The Medicare, or Medicaid, actually, for the state of Arizona did help out a lot. They took over almost right away. They covered the vast majority of the bills for my wife's care, and I really appreciate that. I mean, you can't imagine how much I appreciate that. I had to quit my job, though. I had to go on unemployment. They told me my employer, and I all agreed we had to do that because I had no insurance. The insurance was just too expensive to have, and it would have never covered all of this stuff. And it's just, I think it was the first week, it was the first 7 days that she was in the hospital was not covered by care. It was the 23rd of February to the 28th, so 7 days, is that right? 29th. I guess that was 7 days. That was a leap year that year, maybe. 2020, yeah. Um, she wasn't covered by state care. So I got the bill. First bill came in April. I was shocked. 7 days in ICU. $750,000. I'm like, how am I going to come up with this money? And I had to do a lot of fast negotiating. And I worked with the hospital. They got me on a program that helped try to knock some of the bill down. And some of it I couldn't get knocked down. I struggled and worked to try and pay whatever I could. And then, I was still paying on this thing. And the next year, in April of 21, I got a similar bill. And I thought, that's funny. It's almost exactly a year later from the last bill. Except this new bill was for not $750,000, but $780,000. And I thought, what in the world is this? Did they miss something last year? Is it just adding $30,000 to the last year's bill? Or what happened here? They said, no, this is a whole new bill. Something about the facility costs or something. And I was like, what? Why didn't you tell me this last year? Where did this come from? So I had to try and negotiate some more and get that knocked down and get back on another program to get them to help pay for some more of these costs. Then I still owed a lot of money, and while going through this process, ended up having to sell my house, beautiful house at a golf course community. It was our dream house. Now I've lost my wife, lost my house, got nothing left. I didn't want to live in the same town and the same job I've had for 12 years that I hated. So I moved to Las Vegas where there was more work, more opportunities, or at least I thought there was. But then I guess I forget that without a house payment of only $500 a month, you have to pay rent of, $1,500, $1,600, $2,000 a month. It's just not cheap at all. And with utilities, it is at least $2,000. That's just for one person. I can't imagine how anybody does this. And I see people, more and more of them, every day out here living in their cars. I see the same people staying in the same parking lots that I stay in, living in their cars. I'm not the only one. And I see more of them all the time. But, you learn to deal with things. I've put up with the heat. I've put up with the lack of privacy. I've been lucky a few times. My work, my employer, they've put me up in hotels when they've sent me away to work out of town a couple times. I've had a couple of friends that were able to get me free stays at some of the casinos and their hotels, and that was very nice of them. Food has been a tough thing. I've gained a little weight that I didn't want to gain because I can't cook as well as I used to when I was at a home. When you're in a home, you have a microwave, you have a stove, you have an oven, you have a refrigerator and a freezer. Things that people take for granted, and I kind of did that too, I guess. You can store food longer, you can buy in bulk, you can get cheaper deals on food. I have to either eat out, which I don't like to do because it's so expensive now, or I have to find deals on food for right now because I cannot keep food very long. I do have a cooler in the car. I've got all of my stuff with me. Basically everything that I need is in the car. I have all my laundry in my trunk. I'm just driving a little Ford Focus, a little 13 Focus. It's a sedan, so I have a trunk. And I have all my laundry and all my clean clothes are on one side in one set of bags, and I have all the dirty laundry in other designated bags. I do laundry every 2 weeks at a laundromat. I have all of my other stuff that I had in my condo in a storage unit. I pay about $70 a month for that. I drive to work, and then I drive sometimes between jobs for work. It depends on the day what we're doing. And yeah, it's a struggle, but manageable. I have a mailbox I paid for a whole year, so I get my mail there. I've got my driver's license, the car's license, everything's set for here in Nevada now. And anyway, I just thought I'd let you know where I'm at, what's going on, and maybe I'll keep updating this and let people know what's happening. Take care, everybody.